Welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you are a woman who workshops or just lives life, this episode could protect your future because what happens after an accident isn't just confusing, it can be costly if you don't know your rights. I'm super excited to be joined by Bianca Calderon de la Chica, a personal injury attorney who's helped countless of women and men navigate injury claims, insurance pressure, and legal decisions that impact their lives for years to come. In this episode, we're breaking down exactly what you need to do before you sign anything, say anything, or accept any kind of settlement. My name is Shri, and I'm a social media manager. My team and I help doctors and lawyers gain an edge online by creating content that connects with your future patients and clients so they choose your practice over the competition. Now, everything mentioned in this episode is just for conversation. If you have questions pertaining to a case or you would like to see if Bianca and her team can work with you, just reach out to her. She will definitely share how to reach out to her. But you know what? We're not here for me, we're here for her. So let's get her on. Bianca, thank you for joining us tonight or today. If you're listening to the replay, let me ask you, when you're not worried about your clients' cases or talking about personal injury, what do you like to do for fun?
Well, Shri, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. And I love that question because I was actually asked that today. And I am kind of obsessed with scaling my business right now. So I don't really have that many hobbies other than maybe binge watching a show or, going out to our lake house or traveling. That's something that I really love to do. And I'll always spend time with family. So those are my great escapes.
You know what? You talked about scaling your business, and for some people, we'll get into your story of how you got into becoming a personal injury attorney. But I read a post recently from a doctor who just started their business, and they're like, is there a bright light at the end? And what's some words of advice that you would give someone who's really starting their practice, whether it's for a doctor or a lawyer? What's one thing that's helped you throughout all these years?
I think both as doctors and attorneys, we go to school trying to focus and perfect our craft, but we don't come out as business leaders or business minded individuals. And I think what really sets people apart from the entrepreneur professional are the people that are willing to have grit and to have the staying power to withstand the challenges that come along with business, because a business is its own machine. You have to keep it running, and simply having clients or patients is not enough, because now as a business owner, you manage people, you have regulations that you have to follow, you have bills that you have to worry about, overhead, and it becomes very daunting. And you just want to be the professional to focus on your craft, but at the same time you also have your employees who rely on you. So I think that big responsibility, it can be daunting, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to be patient and take it a day at a time, and always be willing to scale and to grow and look for that next big opportunity.
I love that you said that. Be willing to be open. And I can imagine there have been times where you made some mistakes and you wish you didn't make them. So what's one big mistake that you made, but it helped you, it has been helping you throughout your business?
I think in the beginning, whenever I started hiring people, I would hire based off of emotion and feeling, and I would immediately want to give my all to that particular employee, when in reality, they need to earn, my trust that they're a right fit for my company and my vision and my brand. And before I would want to roll out the red carpet, and it's part of me wanting to be a part of the service industry. The same, attention that I would give it to a client, it's like an employee. I want them to feel happy, feel satisfied, and everything. But in reality, it's quite the opposite.
Oh, I love that you brought that up because I've been interviewing so many people that I've never hired somebody based on emotion or feeling. It's been always, okay, how long have I known you? And have you been on my show? Like you really have to be on my show to be able to know if you're a good fit. Now, I want to draw into why you became a personal injury attorney. And for those who don't know, so your father used to work for, or still works for, a law firm. And what was that one case that he was talking about that just opened your eyes and you said, this is what I want to do?
I don't, there's not a particular case. I would say there was an era. Whenever I was working at my dad's office, and he's a legal assistant to an attorney right now, and the one he was working for at the time, they were leading the way for the Firestone Ford Explorer litigation when that was on the news every single day, where people were losing their lives, their loved ones, because there was a really defective product, not only in the tire, but in the way the vehicle would react to an accident sequence or a rollover. The individuals weren't protected and they were losing their lives at rapid speed, and there was a pattern. And Ford was pointing the fingers at Firestone. Firestone was pointing their fingers at Ford, and it was just such an immersive experience just to see all these lawyers. Like I was so young, probably in elementary, middle school, just running around finding that evidence and just trying to keep up with not only the news but the tragedies that were happening, and just trying to make change in the laws, and seeing them actually do that, and getting to meet the clients that were actually affected by this and put a name to the face. And it was just truly phenomenal and something that I'll never forget, and still inspires me till this day.
The fact you brought up you were looking for evidence. Do your kids help you look for evidence?
Oh yes, all the time. They're often my toughest clients, I shall say, because they like to know all the things that I'm doing, everything that I'm doing, and why. And so I'm like, I don't even know sometimes. We're just here, okay? Just relax. Yes.
So, if I'm not mistaken, your dad was always working for a personal injury attorney.
Correct.
Did you ever think about going into any other type of law that's out there?
No, I think maybe if I had another lifetime, I would maybe want to do criminal defense, because I love watching Dateline and those types of mystery shows. I'd probably want to do it for like a month, but I don't think it's as glamorous as it looks.
Well, we were talking about it before. Personal injury is not glamorous either. If anything, and I don't want to be the person, but I understand why you do it. But they say, whenever I say personal injury attorney, the first words that come out are ambulance chaser and billboard person
Yes.
and dancing on TikTok, which I don't think everybody does dancing. But my question to you is, how do you get people to understand personal injury is more than this just an accident in a car? It could be wrongful death. It could be slip and fall.
So much more. I think just bringing more knowledge to it and educating people on their rights is hugely important, and letting them know that most of my clients, they're obviously not professionals in this industry. They didn't wake up that morning saying, oh my gosh, I hope I get into an accident today. And
Yes.
so when that moment of impact happens, there's a huge domino effect. I don't have a car anymore to go to work. I am in pain. I'm a mom. I can't cook for my kids anymore. Or, oh my gosh, I lost my husband, our breadwinner. So many things are impacted. And so having that ability to help my clients and educate them, it's almost like putting the personal in personal injury, where I understand my clients and where they're coming from, and I really like to hear their story so I can tell it in a better way, so that the insurance companies know, okay, my client's not just a random person. This is how their lives have been affected and how it will continue to be affected well into the future, and here are their damages, and it happened all because of your negligent driver or negligent location premise owner. So it's just something that I do. It's just natural to me, and I love it.
And I'm like stumbling on my words. But what I really want to say is that you can see it in your smile and your eyes, like you really are dedicated.
Thank you.
And I want to just, let's get into what are some common things that you see, especially women, doing when they get into an accident or staying at the accident site?
The number one thing I think is number one, they could admit fault when it wasn't really their fault, or they're not even sure, or they can fail to get evidence that they need, like take photos at the scene or get photos of the insurance card of the other individual. Because believe it or not, you could think the person gets out of the car, everything's okay, but from one second to the other, they drive off and leave you empty handed. They figure it out. They're like, oh my gosh, let me just drive off and hope for the best. Or, um, they can post it on social media and say, oh my gosh, thank God my family and I are okay. We were just involved in a serious accident, but nobody's hurt, right? Like in our eyes, nobody's hurt is okay, and we're all alive. But to a defense attorney, nobody's hurt is you literally said you were not hurt. But then once a day goes by and you hire your attorney, now suddenly you're hurt. And so the story, the narrative quickly changes.
Ooh, so the thing that I'm hearing is don't post that you got into a car accident at the time of the accident. Make sure you get pictures, make sure you get information. And something I learned in my own accident, call the cops, have a police report. Now, I want to ask you, why is that police report so important?
It's crucial because it not only provides all the information that you need, where who's at fault, what vehicles are involved, what's the insurance coverage, but it's kind of that extra witness that you need with the insurance company. Because the insurance company, if they have a police report, the process is a little bit easier, because then, okay, the police officer gave this guy a ticket for speeding. All right, perfect. We'll accept liability. The accident happened on this day. These are all the people who are in the vehicle. There's really not that many questions. But whenever you don't have the police report, I've seen where they'll say, oh, are you sure Susie was in the car with you? I'm not so sure. They don't believe it. And then it becomes a problem or an issue. Or, you run out of important information.
You said, it's like a witness. Now, what if there's actual witnesses? I mean, we have the cameras, we have dash cam. In my case, I didn't have, like, the first thing that came to mind was, because I wasn't injured badly, I was like, I should have recorded them. Because she said she had to run away. Not run away, but she had to go to work. How do you get witness statements, especially if the person leaves and never leaves their number and name, and because they saw the whole thing, and especially if they help the person?
Right. So I've had a few clients, they were wise enough to, as soon as you get out of the car, just start recording on your phone. That could be the best thing, because 9 times out of 10, I'll have clients say, and the driver came out apologizing, saying, I'm so sorry, it was our fault. And then boom, that never happened. What are you talking about? It wasn't my fault. And the story's changed. So if we have that evidence, that's kind of the smoking gun that we need. But if there are people who render aid to you, who stop at the scene and say, oh my gosh, I saw him, he ran the red light, get their information and number, and a good attorney will call them right away, locate them, and get them to write their statement, so that they can kind of be that extra voice to say, not only were you not at fault, but we saw them run the red light. Or even they can testify as to how shooken up you were after the accident, or how serious the accident was, how fast they were going, if they see it. I mean, it's rare, but we've had many cases where witnesses really can help us win our case.
And let me tell you, getting that witness statement was so crucial, especially for my case. I'm not talking about everybody else, but there were no cameras. And so that witness was key. And I was very thankful when I looked back that I had gotten her information. In deep down, I was like, I take video of people. Why didn't I video her? But the key thing is the information. Just get their name and how to get in touch with them.
The basic information, yes. And it's just you're not expecting this to happen, and you're just taken out of your normal environment, and you're probably outside in the busy Houston road somewhere. So just you're not thinking in your best mindset. So that's what I notice often happens.
Oh yes, especially in the middle of it, you're like,
what just
what
happened?
do you do? And I know as a woman, because I had talked to you, I knew a few things. So make sure you're writing down these tips, ladies and gentlemen, because let me tell you, when you're in the middle of it, you don't think about these things. It's only because you remember, oh yeah, that conversation. Definitely. Um, so what is something that when people start to work with you, your clients, do they feel like, the case is just going to be solved overnight? What should we keep in mind? Because I know that it doesn't happen overnight, but sometimes it could take longer than expected.
Right, right. Well, it depends a lot on a lot of things, a lot of factors. Number one is the efficiency of the law firm. Number two is liability established. And number three, which I think is the most important part or the biggest thing that we focus on in my firm, because we have an infrastructure in place where everything happens so fast. And then we get on the phone with the client and we say, okay, I cannot settle your case until you're better, until you're done seeing all the doctors that you need to see, and that, okay, do you feel you've addressed, whatever pain? Say if you have a shoulder injury, do you feel you've had enough visits with the doctor? Do you feel you can close this chapter? Because once I settle your case for whatever amount, that chapter's closed, and we can't go back to the defendant asking them for another $100,000, because down the line you realize, hey, I actually do need a shoulder surgery. So that's kind of the conversation that I'll have with the client if, we're settling their case either for under policy limits or, um, uh, pretty quickly. Because sometimes clients will be like, I feel better, I feel great, and I'm like, are you sure? 100%. Okay, then we'll close out your case. So every case is different, but I do want clients to know that some cases can take 3 months, some can take a year. I've had cases that take 4 years, and it's just has such variety, and it's just a case by case basis, and every case has its own individual thumbprint, so you can't compare one case to the other.
And that's good to know, like going into it, having, have grace with yourself.
Yes, exactly.
It is stressful.
Yes.
Are very, like my personal experience, they are very understanding. They understand you get frustrated, that you might be a little snippy.
It's fine. We're used to it.
But at the same time, I feel like as a client, we need to come in understanding it's not a microwave solution. Like there
Right.
is a step-by-step process. One thing that I learned in my experience is I didn't have a car. So I was like, well, how do I get to the emergency room, or how do I get to here? What is something that you provide to help your clients so they can get the care that they need?
Yes. So it all depends on the client. If they really need medical emergency medical treatment, go by ambulance. That's number one. Number two, if they need to see a minor emergency physician, say, okay, I just got to get my car out of the road. I need to get home to my kids, do homework, and then like at night, my kids are asleep. But I do need to go to the doctors. There are doctors that we're familiar with that are open 24/7, that are located around, Houston, or whoever's listening. It could be anywhere. There's, minor ER locations everywhere. And sometimes we can provide an Uber for you to pick you up, or, ask a loved one to take you. But whatever it is, we try and give that red carpet treatment. And if it's a common need, we probably have a solution to it.
And you pick the right attorney, they will take care of you. Now, we're going to get into the red flags of
Yes.
when you see them, say, no, not that attorney.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do, I wanted to make sure people understand what kind of insurance should they have, because not all insurances are equal.
No. The biggest thing, and I often tell people, if you're listening to this and you want to send me your declaration page, you can. And I'll tell you, okay, do you have underinsured, uninsured motorist coverage? Liability is liability. That's the basic that you need by law to be, legally driving. And that just covers you in the instance of you are responsible for causing an accident, and your insurance company will pay that person up to $30,000 for their injuries and damages. But what if this person ends up paralyzed or they die? That's not enough money to cover those medical bills, so those people can continue to come after you. So that's why you want to have more, especially if you have a lot of assets. You want to have sufficient insurance to where you feel confident, like, okay, if God forbid a horrific accident happens, I have enough insurance to cover the damages. And number two, the second layer is the underinsured, uninsured motorist coverage. So that's whenever someone who doesn't have enough insurance or doesn't have any insurance at all, your insurance will kind of pick up the weight and pay for your damages and your injuries. And then you want to have collision coverage insurance. We've had a few clients as of late where it happens really often. They're involved in an accident where they only have liability insurance, but it's a hit and run and their vehicle's totaled, but they don't have the insurance to cover and at least replace your vehicle for you. And that's devastating to a lot of people, because most people that live paycheck to paycheck, their car is their only way to go to work. And then you owe the bank money for this car after just some person without insurance or some drunk driver hit you, then you're in a really awful position. And then your medical bills aren't paid. So that's why it's just so important to make sure you have that bracket of insurance.
And it makes you wonder, like, at the time when you are getting insurance, you're like, I don't know about this. Let me explain something to you. When you were thinking about buying the car, like if you were thinking about getting a Honda, you're going to pay Honda oil changes and Honda car insurance. If you're getting a Mercedes, you're going to be paying Mercedes oil change prices and insurance
Mercedes premiums, yes.
So just keep that in mind. I hope this tip will help you, because that's how I think, and that's why I drive a particular brand. You know, I drive a Honda, but I bought the Honda from somewhere far away because it had like lifetime warranty. But that's just a tip for ladies. Like, don't look at just the brand.
For sure.
Think about your pocketbook when the unexpected things happen. So let's say you get into a car accident. Mm-hmm. They don't know you exist. They didn't hear this podcast or saw our live 5 years ago. What are some red flags that someone should look out for and say, this is not the right attorney for me?
That's a great question. I would say follow the reviews. I do not have perfect reviews. I'll be the first one to say that, but I would say I have enough consistent reviews to where you're going to realize, okay, this is a consistent trend of happy clients. And then there's one or two, just like in any business, where, hey, we just did our best to try and make that client happy. It was just impossible. Or, hey, it was out of our hands. The insurance company, they didn't have the right insurance and they take it out on us. It happens. Or, hey, we had a delay. It's an anomaly in our business, in my field, or in my practice. At least I can proudly say that. But if you see a lot of 1-star reviews, I would say stay away, because it's probably not a lie. And I would ask some questions and interview your attorney like you would anything else. I mean, just because you have one consultation and you're like, I'm not sure. Just keep asking questions or keep shopping around if you need to. And just make sure you feel comfortable with the team, because it's not just the attorney that you're going to be working with, it's the entire team. And I would just say, or ask a friend, hey, I heard you were in an accident, what were your thoughts on using that attorney? And kind of trust their advice.
Absolutely. There are so many pieces of content. Lawyers put out content every day. I promise you, I look at them, like I watch TV. So look for getting to meet them, the person that they are, getting to meet their team. What's other pieces of content that you find help people connect with you and they choose you over the competition?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot, actually, because I've been doing content for 5 years. And as an attorney, I would say it's kind of a long time. There were kind of late adopters, and I would kind of get made fun of, like, why are you on TikTok? Why are you doing these trends? And yes, it's annoying to do trends. I didn't go to law school to be doing all this, but it gets the message out there, and it draws my my organic audience to where my clients already connect with me and they know me and I build that rapport with them before. Hopefully they never need me, but it happens, and where they already know, hey, I'm gonna call Bianca. I already know I can rely on her. And they just shoot me a quick DM, and then I get my team involved, and we kind of take over for them, and they have that extra assurance that, you know what, this is a horrible situation, but at least Bianca and her team, like, they're responsive, they're actively working on my case, and they just feel at ease. It's one less thing to worry about.
I will also add to that is you figure out who you're speaking to, that one person, and create that content that helps them feel like, hey, so Bianca's a mom. So she's going to put out content that has her daughter and her son
Yes.
and showing the family life. But if you are not married and you are single, but you have your mother and your sister that you care for, bring them into your content, show something about that.
Absolutely.
Because
Make
what works
yourself
for
human.
Yes, what
Yeah.
works for her isn't always going to work for you, but there's
Mhm.
something that what you speak on will connect. So let me ask you a very, very hard question.
Sure.
How do we connect with you? How do we work with you?
Well, you could always shoot me a DM, and especially if you've been in an accident, just say, hey, I've just been involved in an accident. I need help. And I will respond right away as soon as I get alerts on my phone. I even had these chat bots responding. I hated it. And I told my team today, I'm like, get rid of it. But or you could text us, call us at 844 La Chica, and we offer free consultations. It costs you nothing to get started. If anything, we give you a free case evaluation to let you know, hey, is this something we could help you with? If not, we will try and put you in the right hands.
And look, I'll make sure that I have all her information. She's not on LinkedIn, but she's on other platforms, guys.
Yes.
Do not
Instagram, Bianca de la Chica. Yes.
look, the website is right here, Bianca de la Chica
Love.
law.com. Also, it will be in the description. You make sure, just reach out, just have a conversation. It doesn't hurt anybody to take time to work with the right person who will take care of you, because I'm going to tell you, this process isn't easy. And you don't want to work with someone who will forget you, because that is possible,
Mhm.
that your case is just another case. No, you want to work with someone who genuinely treats everybody, whether your case is small or very, if it's a large sum, I always think somebody had to pass away, and that's not a good case.
No.
But I personally would say, because she is my friend and I love her, I would say work with her. But if you want to make sure, just reach out to her. And I want to ask you this one question. Why did you pick the color red for your branding?
Well, that's a wonderful question. So, when I was a little girl, my dad would always tell me, red is your color. Red looks so beautiful on you. It looks so, and it's just a bold color. It's his favorite color. And I think it became my favorite color. And it just kind of brightens me up when I wear it. And in fact, I'm like, why did I pick brown today? I don't know. I always come in my red suits when I do content, but I'm like, I should switch it up. But every that's the beauty of business, is you always want to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't, and that's how it is. But red's it's not a color for everybody. Not
No.
everybody likes red, so I think it's kind of unique.
Now my color is this like pinky burgundy, not like color, and I wear it. I try to wear it everywhere. I don't care. At this point, it has become a staple that
I love it.
when I'm recording content or I'm doing these live shows, if you've noticed
Yes,
I'm like wearing the same shirts, it's because it's now just my uniform. So when you see my videos, hint hint,
I love that.
no,
Yes,
what it
branding,
is,
branding.
format.
Yes,
So next time, wear the red. Who cares? So
I
if
know. I should. I should. Yes, absolutely.
So again, if you are not connected with Bianca, she is on Instagram and on Facebook. You could also find her on TikTok. She has a YouTube page. But if you are in a situation, you lose a loved one, or you're in a car accident, slip and fall, and all these others that a personal injury can help you with, reach out to Bianca. She would love to help you, especially
Absolutely.
especially those scary moments when you feel like nobody's by your side. She will not leave your side. I promise you. I can guarantee this. Like,
Thank you.
I went through it with her. She was my attorney, and she did not.
It
She
was
did
an
not
honor
forget
to
me.
represent you.
She did not forget me, even though sometimes I felt like she forgot me. She did not forget me.
I always come through.
She always does.
Yes.
So, guys, I will be so excited if you would leave a review on one of my podcasts. I'm on Apple, I'm on Spotify, and especially for this episode. I normally don't ask for reviews, but today I'm going to ask one from you guys. So, until the next live or the next episode, I'm so thankful that you were here to share your story. Thankful to all of you who are watching the replay or listening to the replay. So until the next time, have a wonderful evening or morning. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you for having me, Shri. It was an honor.
You're welcome. Bye.